My name is Cindy Douglas. I'm proud to represent all the amazing CASA volunteers who make the ProKids difference every day for our community's children. And I'm honored to be here with my inspiration, Sabrina, and to tell you about what happened after that phone call. As soon as we hung up, I called Brenda, my CASA manager at ProKids. I had only been on the case for a few months. I'd only been on the case for a few months, and I wasn't sure what to do next. Brenda and I pulled together all the resources ProKids had to help this family at this terrible time. It was the beginning of December, and it was cold. The holidays were coming. We had just begun to work through the case in court so the children could finally have a safe, stable home. And now they had absolutely nothing. Now, before I go any further with this story, let me tell you about Sabrina. Calling her tough is not enough. Calling her forthright does not quite capture her spirit. Let me just say that Sabrina is unlike anyone I'd ever met before. I need some Kleenex. Retired from the Navy, living a modest life on a disability benefit, Sabrina had helped many of the children in her large extended family. Her own twins are good students at Taft High School and are active on sports teams. Her older daughter, now 25, just gave Sabrina her first grandchild. Brenda and I knew that Sabrina was the best thing that had ever happened to these two little children. ProKids went into action. I had numbers for us to call to find out about housing and other services. I loaded my car with donated toys and diapers for the little ones, as well as clothing and school supplies for the older twins. Right away, while they were packed into their tiny temporary motel room, the ProKids community came through. Sadly, not one of the relatives did. After the fire, Job and Family Services planned to remove the children from Sabrina's care because of their unstable housing. But with help from Brenda and our ProKids attorney, I advocated for the children to remain with Sabrina. They needed as much certainty in their life as possible. In the midst of all this turmoil, we could see that the children were doing just fine in Sabrina's care. Housing was a struggle for several months. I visited wherever they went and as they moved from place to place, with the county unable to provide access to housing once they were forced to go to a trash-filled home of a relative. The children were sleeping on mats on the floor. It was the worst place I had ever seen. Sabrina made sure that their move after that was a good one. She always put the children first. Sabrina was very emotional about the children possibly moving out. She was thrilled that we believed in her and her ability to create a wonderful home for the children, even with all the challenges. But Sabrina wasn't always sure she could do it. There were several times during the tenuous period that Sabrina called me about her frustrations and doubts. Could she continue caring for these children? I encouraged her to do exactly that. The children had come such a long way in her loving care. Despite the tumult after the fire, they were attaching themselves to Sabrina in a healthy way. They were beginning to have a more normal childhood. A move to another caregiver could have long-term detrimental impact on their ability to form relationships and attach to others. We knew that being with Sabrina was their best chance to grow up safe, secure, and to be successful adults. I didn't want to see Sabrina give up on them, and she didn't. While all this was going on, we continued to advocate for the children in court. The parents would sometimes show up for court, and at first, both the parents had supervised visits with the children. But the father was arrested on a felony weapons charge and an assault charge and went to jail, so his visits stopped. The children would be taken downtown for a visit with the mother, but often she didn't show up. And neither of the parents followed through with the court-ordered services. They just could not make the changes needed to have the children returned to them. Then both of the grandmothers came forward. One grandmother completed the county's home study assessment to determine if she was a viable caregiver for the children. She failed the home study. The other grandmother only seemed to come to court to threaten Sabrina. Court security had to protect Sabrina as she left court, but Sabrina did not give up. I encouraged Sabrina to hold steady because she was the best caregiver for the kids. They were bonded to her. However, I was very guarded in what I said to her. Even though we felt fairly confident that Sabrina would be granted custody, I was careful not to make any promises. But on the day of the trial in juvenile court, even the parents agreed Sabrina should raise the children. The cycle was broken. Sabrina became legal custodian of the children late last year. As a mother and grandmother myself, I treasure the lessons I have learned from Sabrina. Her love for these children, her humility, and her strength under pressure inspire me every day. As a CASA volunteer, I felt like I could lift up Sabrina and advocate for what these children needed: a safe, secure, permanent home. I am proud to introduce her to you now.
When I called Miss Cindy on that terrible day of the fire, I was so scared. I knew these children needed me. I had been taking them to their doctor's appointments and therapy, things they had never had before. But when I lost my home, I wasn't sure what would happen next. Sorry.
You're good.
In the next few days, ProKids and Miss Cindy helped us get everything we needed. Miss Cindy, she came to that crowded hotel room. She brought everything, school supplies and diapers, everything we needed. She also made sure that we were okay. And some days I wasn't. On my worst days, nothing felt settled. But Miss Cindy kept me going. She did. When I had to move quickly into a place that wasn't good for us, Miss Cindy kept me going. And when things were horrible in court, Miss Cindy kept me going. She did. So I was so happy when I found out my babies could stay with me. I knew it was because ProKids helped me when we really needed help. We live in Barn Hill now. We have a backyard, we have a dog, and our home is filled with love. My little girl is going on 5. She is finishing therapeutic preschool, and she starts kindergarten in the fall. I've already talked to her teachers to make sure that she gets everything she needs next year. She's starting to know her letters and her numbers, and she likes to dress up pretty. My little boy is now 3. We're working on potty training. He likes to do everything or play with everything, balls, play outside. There's still problems with him eating and speaking, but we're making a lot of progress. He can be silly and fill our home with laughter. You know, I didn't always think I could do it. I didn't know if my love would be enough. Miss Cindy kept me going. She is a ProKids CASA volunteer, and she is my hero. Okay, I'm sorry. I'd like to introduce my children, and we want to thank Miss Cindy for everything she's done. I think he's going to take our picture. Come here.